that was the thing I learned today.
To the point of your conference.
Yeah.
Of course, your position within your company lends you to speaking at more conferences, being invited to speak at conferences. But give the people a little rundown on what it's like to be in that situation as a presenter, as a speaker. I've seen you do the little quaint corner table talk with just a few people interested in the situation. Mm-hmm. I've seen you on the stage with the black turtleneck and jeans, Steve Jobs. Bam!
I don't think I've ever worn a turtleneck, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
The same, but how does your and I'll ask the second question afterwards, but just to put it on your mind, does your preparation vary depending on the type of speaking engagement you have? But to start, what's it like being a person asked to present?
So I used to look at folks that gave talks at conferences and be like, man, I wonder how they even get into that. Now being into it, a talk is a lot of work. Like if you're going to try and give a good conference talk, it takes a lot of preparation. Now, if it's a talk I've already given, because like working as a developer advocate, I have talks that are in my bag.
Yeah.
So I may have 3 talks. If I submit, so they have what's called call for papers. Mm-hmm. So you can go to different sites and apply to give talks, or you get invited to give talks. Most of the talks I go to, I've been invited. But I need to submit more. I just don't. But the normal process is you submit, call for papers for a specific conference that you want. Mm-hmm. And then you prepare that talk. You get accepted, you have to prepare and go. Now, there's different types of talks, right? So if you're doing a keynote, that's on kind of the big stage in front of everybody at the beginning, or, when they gather everyone into the room, usually at the beginning of the conference or at the end of the conference.
Okay.
And then they have breakout rooms where they have smaller stages. In a really big conferences, they'll have like still big room, smaller stages, and then like workshop level kind of smaller stages. And so you could do any of those. Okay. Right? If you're submitting for a talk, they may ask you or put you in any of those situations. Overall, I'd say the experience is it's in general a lot of preparation, and this is a talk you've already had prepared on hand. And even then, there's still preparation to tweak that talk for the specific conference and the audience that you're going towards.
What's it like? Let's say it's a 3-day conference, like Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Mm-hmm. And you don't speak till Saturday, but they've invited you to all 3 days. Or you speak on Thursday, but they want you there all weekend. Is that weird? Like, just like, hey, man, I saw your talk on Thursday.
So, honestly, it varies. Like, if I get invited, it's a conference I'm actually like really interested in, which is the vast majority of them. I don't really like speaking at conferences I'm not interested in. I'll go whenever it first starts, and I'll actually stay. I'll attend the talks. If I have some final preparation to do, I'll use some of that time to do that, whether that be like editing some slides or whatever. Everyone says you should be done before.
Absolutely. I agree. Yeah.
Way before. I just, whatever. It doesn't end up happening a lot of the time. So I'm usually there like, oh, I kind of like this. I want to change this around a little bit. And then I call it like a day before my talk. Mm-hmm. I won't make any more changes. I'll just kind of practice that refined version. But while I'm there, I'll get ideas and mess with stuff and add stuff. I don't usually do like tweak the technical demo too much at that point. That makes sense. The technical demo, like if I'm walking through code and stuff, that stuff is pretty finalized. Like I'm not really changing that. What I'm changing more so is the presentation, how I'm showing things. But I'll attend usually all the days. Now, there's some of them where I won't. Like, I'll fly in that day.
Get my talk,
and I'll fly in that night or fly out that next morning, usually. And that's fine, too. Like, you really just have to check in for AV, audio and visual. Like, they mic you up and you test everything. Usually I'll try to be there like an hour before my talk at the latest. Mm-hmm. But how it usually works out is I'm there all day already.
Exactly.
I kind of just migrate towards where my room is going to be. If I'm there the first day, usually I'll just find where my room is on the schedule because they have the schedule released already. and I'll just kind of look around and see what it is, talk to the audio folks, kind of see how stuff works. You talk to the people organizing it. They'll give you basic instructions. And they also have a speaker room usually on facility so that you can go in there and do stuff you need to do.
Yeah.
No.
No, it's interesting because I've been on the board to throw a conference.
Nice.
Yeah, but it was like it was what was supposed to be a very large in-person conference, and we started planning that around late January, February of 2020, and then of course, wasn't none of that. Yeah. So we had to go fully virtual. But thanks to some of the restrictions raising or lightening, we were able to still do it in person. So it wasn't like it was 2 days of just straight Zoom appearances. We had in-person, in-studio, where we were streaming out to the thousands of people that joined. I was over the volunteers and ended up having to fill in for some other parts. But looking at one of the other board members who was handling the speakers, it's like Are you aware of a speaker, as a speaker, like when other people are in and out of the lineup, unless maybe they might ask you to shift, or they might like see a change in the scheduling
in a virtual conference,
any type of conference?
You're aware of the schedule. Like I'm aware of the schedule, who's kind of before me, after me, what room I'm in, and who's coming before me.
Yeah.
That's from the perspective of me going as a speaker giving a talk, but then like also as a weird part of my role as a DA is helping to run these conferences.
Yeah.
My role in that is I'll either like MC like for our HashiConf.
I was just about to ask.
Like
next HashiConf is when? Did you say
October?
October.
No, we have Hashi Days, which is actually in a couple weeks.
Copy.
We have those all over, I think, all over Europe. So it's kind of like our HashiConf Europe version, except we're doing it in different cities, which is pretty cool. I'm just not going to be in town, or else I would probably be in Europe in the next couple weeks. But the thing that's weird about the difference between running a virtual conference and an in-person conference is the emceeing is like, I know who's up. If I'm emceeing, I know everyone that's coming through.
Exactly.
Like I know everyone. I know their topic. I don't speak before you even find out if you're emceeing. As a DA, I'm evaluating talks. Like I'm going through. I may have like if you're practicing your talk, I may be one of the people that you, if it's a technical portion or they have a very technical piece,
go through the validity.
Then they may come have me go and validate that stuff. So they have like teams of people. Like I'm not the only DA. They have teams of people that go through and validate this material.